My name is David. I live in America. Many of you might think this is just imagination, but I want to be clear from the very beginning, this incident truly happened in my life. I never thought that one small decision, one weak moment, could change my entire life like this. That night, it was around 12 a.m. Everything was silent. I was lying alone, scrolling on my phone. Suddenly, I felt something strange. It felt like I wasn't alone in the room. The lights were on, the doors and windows were locked, and unexplained pressure tightened in my chest. I told myself, "Why are you scared? You're alone." Just then, tap, tap, the sound was coming from inside the door. I sat up. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would burst out of my chest. I looked at the clock. 12:07. "Who's there?" I said softly. No response. I convinced myself it was probably noise from the next apartment. I lay back down. The moment I closed my eyes, tap, 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 tap. This time the sound wasn't from the door. This time the sound was from inside my room. I jumped up. My eyes went straight to the mirror in the corner of the room. The mirror was moving. No, not the mirror. Something inside the mirror was moving. I slowly stood up. My feet felt stuck to the floor. My throat went dry. I couldn't look away. I could see myself in the mirror, but that wasn't me. It was smiling at me. I wasn't smiling. I moved my lips. "What is this?" the me inside the mirror whispered. "You promised you'd let me come out." My head jolted. When did I? To whom? What did I promise? Suddenly the room went dark. 1 second. 2 seconds. In the darkness I could only hear my own breathing. Then very close, a breath. I'm outside now. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. Because that's when I realized someone was holding my mouth shut. The hand was ice cold. Breathing became difficult. I couldn't see anything in the darkness, only the touch of those freezing fingers. I tried to swing my arms, but it wouldn't let go. Just then the lights turned on. Someone was standing in front of me, exactly like me. Same face, same eyes, same body, only the eyes were wrong. The whites were completely black with a small red dot in the center. It released my mouth. I stumbled backward, gasping for air. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice trembling. It smiled. There was no joy in the smile, only hunger. "I am you," it said, "just the one inside you." I shook my head. "No, that's not possible." It slowly pointed toward the mirror. I looked. In the mirror there was no one. I wasn't there. It wasn't there. The floor felt like it disappeared beneath my feet. "Where am I?" I whispered. It brought its mouth close to my ear and said, "Inside." Suddenly, a sharp ringing exploded inside my head. Countless scenes flashed before my eyes at once. An old house, cracked walls. Strange symbols on the floor. I was sitting there reading something, words like chants. I screamed, "Stop, I didn't do this." It laughed and said, "You did." Right in front of this mirror, I tried to remember, but it felt like my mind was locked shut. "You said," it continued, "I would give you power. But in return, you'd let me come out sometimes." My throat went dry. I realized I had made a deal with something I had forgotten. Suddenly, my phone fell from the table. The screen lit up. Front camera on. In panic, I looked at myself. Behind me, there was no one, but my face smiled on its own. A voice came out that wasn't mine. "Tonight I'll stay. Tonight I'll stay." I'm screaming from inside, but no sound comes out. I'm trapped inside my own body. I start walking slowly. No, it's walking. It stepped in front of the mirror. With a finger, it pulled down the skin under my eye. "Look," it said, "how tired you were." Tears filled my eyes. I whispered, "Go away, please." It walked to the wardrobe. From the bottom shelf, it pulled out an old notebook. I had hidden that notebook a long time ago, because that notebook was where everything began. It read the writing on the first page, "Whatever you call will always want to return." I screamed, "Don't read it," but it kept reading. With every word, the air in the room grew heavier. The shadows on the walls stretched unnaturally long. Suddenly, loud banging on the door. Bang, bang, I froze. It didn't stop. Instead, it smiled. "They've arrived too." From under the door, something like black smoke began to seep in. The smoke slowly took human shapes, hands, legs, faces, but none of them were complete. Some had no eyes, some had no faces, some were only smiling. I broke down crying. I forgot I didn't want this. It suddenly became serious. Forgetting doesn't mean forgiveness. One shadow stopped in front of me. Its head was twisted unnaturally. It whispered, "When is my turn?" I realized tonight wasn't just for one of them. It looked at the clock, 12:59. 1 minute, it said, then the door will fully open. Gathering my last strength, I screamed, "Let me go, I'll trap you inside." It slowly looked at me. "You can't," it said, "because you are the door." The time changed on the clock, 1:00 a.m. The door opened by itself. The darkness outside was more terrifying than the one inside. I knew it wasn't from this world. As the door opened, the air in the room stopped. No sound of breathing, as if the entire room was paused. I screamed from inside, closed the door, but it reached out its hand. The darkness slowly entered. It wasn't a shadow. It wasn't darkness either. It was nothing, yet it existed. Suddenly my memory became clear. I was sitting alone, same room, same mirror. I was extremely weak back then. I wanted someone to understand me, to carry the darkness inside me. And that's when I opened the door. I had whispered, "Whoever you are, just stay in my place for a while." It took the chance. I screamed, "Stop now, I'm closing the door." It laughed. But the laughter wasn't as confident as before, because I realized it can't stay outside for long. It survives on my strength. I closed my eyes. I called out to myself, "This body is mine. This mind is mine. This fear is mine." The mirror shattered. The room went silent. I sat on the floor and breathed. At last, there was no one else in the room. I smiled softly. 1 week later, after 1 a.m., I don't look into mirrors anymore, because it's still inside.
I was never afraid of being alone. In fact, I liked it. A silent room, being by myself, those things brought me comfort. But that night, in that old house, I understood for the first time what fear truly feels like. I looked at the clock. It was around 12:15 a.m. The room was filled with white light, yet there was a strange heaviness in the air. The shadows looked unnaturally dark, as if darkness was hiding somewhere, even with the lights on. I had my phone in my hand, but it gave me no comfort. I kept scrolling, then locking it again. It felt like even the phone was out of sync with me. I sat on the sofa, listening to the sound of my own breathing. Just then, click, a sound, like someone suddenly turning a light off and on. I startled and looked around. There was no one in the room. Everything looked the same as before. I tried to calm my mind. "Why are you scared? There's nothing here." Just then, click. This time, the sound was stranger. It felt like it came from beneath the floor. I tried to explain it away. Maybe the fan or old pipes. This house is very old. But a voice inside me said, "This sound isn't normal." I slowly stood up. The moment my foot touched the floor, a sudden cold sensation spread right under my feet, as if someone lightly touched me. My breath stopped. For 1 second, my body wouldn't move. Then, a whisper, very soft, but clear. I listened closely. The sound was coming from behind me. I tried to speak, but no sound came out. My mouth was dry. Slowly, I turned around. There was no one there. But then my eyes fell on the mirror. I could see myself in the mirror. Everything was normal. My face, my body, everything. But my eyes didn't feel like mine. They were shimmering strangely, as if someone inside me was looking out through them. I took a step back. How is this possible?" I said softly. Just then, a whisper came from inside the mirror. "You called me." My chest tightened. I pressed against it. Fear, disbelief, and a strange pull all at once. I looked at my reflection and said, "No, I didn't call anyone." The me inside the mirror smiled, but the smile wasn't normal. There was no joy in it, only a sense of certainty, as if it had known me for a long time. Suddenly, the room lights dimmed. Then, one by one, all the lights went out. I reached for the switch. Nothing happened. Darkness. Such thick darkness that I can barely see my own hand. Only the sound of my breathing and the feeling that someone was slowly moving closer from a corner of the room. I stood there, trembling in the cold room. Breathing became difficult. Suddenly, a step on the floor. A slow, heavy footstep. I looked down. I couldn't see anything, but I was certain someone was standing right behind me. In a shaking voice, I said, "Who's there?" No answer, only whispers, this time right next to my ear. I closed my eyes, and in that moment I realized a truth deep inside. This presence didn't come from outside. It came from within me. I looked at the mirror again. I wasn't there. Standing there was a reflection that looked like me, but wasn't entirely me. Strange red movement in its eyes, a faint, confident smile on its face. At that moment, I understood. This wasn't just an attempt to scare me. Something wanted to live. Something wanted to come out. I slowly moved towards the mirror. The reflection moved forward too. With every step, the fear inside me grew deeper. I wanted to scream, but no sound came from my throat. Just then it whispered, "Now it's your turn." I jolted and turned to the side. No one was there, but I could feel it. My body was no longer under my control. My hand rose on its own, towards the mirror. "No, stop!" I screamed from inside, but my hand didn't stop. A smile spread across my face, one I didn't want to make. I whispered, "Let me go." The me inside the mirror said calmly, "I was always inside you, and now you can finally see me." I stepped back, collapsed onto the sofa, but it felt like the reflection was pulling me from the inside. Just then, my phone lit up by itself, front camera on. On the screen, I saw myself, but my eyes, unnaturally red. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. I understood, at this moment, I was no longer in control. I was sitting on the floor. My body felt borrowed. The reflection in the mirror moved just like me, but its gaze wasn't on me. It was measuring me. I slowly stood up, screaming inside, no sound outside. I went towards the door. I wanted to get out, but the door was closed, as if it had shut itself. The darkness grew thicker. Shadows moved in every corner. Inside my mind, I kept saying, "I will survive. I will survive." Just then, the me inside the mirror said in a deep voice, "I was always inside you, and now you will give yourself to me." I closed my eyes, gathered my last strength, and said inside, "This body is mine. This mind is mine." Everything went silent. Suddenly, cracks appeared in the mirror. In an instant, everything shattered. Darkness rushed in. I was lying on the floor, breathing. The room lights were on. Everything was normal. No shadows, no reflection. I stood up. I told myself it was over. Just then, my phone vibrated. Front camera on. On the screen, me. Eyes normal, face normal. I smiled faintly, and at that exact moment, the smile on the screen came 1 second late. A whisper, "I am always here."